Welcome into the Cowboys Report. We're live for the third straight day because the Cowboys have been busy. They made a trade. They did it. They said they weren't going to. Jerry said, only for a superstar. They did a trade anyway. We've got the details for you here. Johnathan Hankins, the run-stopping defensive tackle and very much a fatty, is heading to the Dallas Cowboys. A late-round pick swap as part of this deal. 2023 sixth-round pick going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Cowboys getting a future seventh-round pick as well. A big-time move here for the Cowboys to shore up that run defense. Hankins is not going to be an every-down player. That's certainly not what he is at this stage in his NFL career, but he does give the Cowboys some extra fat on the interior. One note, it is a 2024 seventh-round pick, so I'll tweak that real quick in the graphics, Patrick, but we're good. I got it. We're good. 2024 seventh-round pick and Hankins for a sixth-round pick this year. Cowboys have some comp picks coming along the way. That is the trade. We'll break it down in depth here in a little bit. We got some super chats, though. We'll hit any super chat that comes in. Long as those come in, we will stay live here. JT says this. Great trade. Do you see any other realistic moves from the Cowboys, or are they done now? I'm not seeing much besides a linebacker or a wide receiver, though. I wouldn't rule out offensive line depth. You're pretty banged up right there. You've got 4 players on IR with Tyron Smith, Matt Waletzko, Matt Farniak, and wait, maybe it's only 3. I think I'm forgetting somebody, though. But you got a bunch of guys on IR at this point with injury, so I would look at offensive line. I would love a big-time receiver or an impact linebacker. I'm not going to get my hopes up there. What I do want you guys, though, to start off is the pin pull. Let's grade the trade here, as I'm sure more supers come in as everyone tunes in here. Grade the Johnathan Hankins trade. Hankins and a future 7th for a 6th this year. A, B, C, D, or F are your options. 33% say A, 51% say B, 15% say C, 2% say D or F. I'm kind of surprised there. I think the majority of you guys are right. I think B is the right grade here. This pretty much takes out the running of Deron Payne, I think, because that was probably always a long shot anyway. I do wonder what this means for the rest of your defensive linemen, other players, how the snap counts get broken up. We'll see if Hankins plays this week. I think there's been some disappointment in Neville Gallimore from the Cowboys front office. But grade that trade. A, B, C, D, or F. Make sure you vote in the pinned poll. I see Daniel says you give up nothing. It's at least a B+. I agree. 6th-round pick will be a late 6th-round pick. The 7th, it's a 7th-rounder. It's a freebie. But you basically moved the value of a 7th-round pick this year for Johnathan Hankins. It's fine. You're going to get a comp pick probably for that 6th-round pick anyway, so I have no complaints there whatsoever. Get the grades in, and while you're down there, let me know a player you want the Cowboys to trade for next. I'm sure there will be more names in there. We're still going to put out our trade rumors video tomorrow. Doesn't really change that much. If anything, I think maybe Neville Gallimore is more likely to be dealt. You don't need to trade anybody. The roster's fine. You don't have to make any moves at this moment, but when guys get healthy, you will, but maybe that gets sorted out there. I see a DJ Moore in there because, of course, there's DJ Moore. It's not a huge surprise from that standpoint there. Elijah Moore. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that one. Again, the Moores would be great. You got to move a premium pick or picks to get them. I'm not going to get my hopes up there. JJ says Jeffrey Okudah. That'd be fun. Don't think the Lions do that. He played really well against the Cowboys. A lot of good run stops, by the way. A couple big-time plays there. But also, Lions are rebuilding, but Okudah's a young piece. You don't trade away the young pieces even when you're rebuilding. Josie Jewell, decent name. I don't know if he's any better than what you have, but that's a decent one. Brandon Cooks from Peyton. I doubt the Texans trade him, but I'd call. I'd at least call on those guys. Shaq Thompson, he's available. That's a good name there, Salad or Salah Jr. You want a linebacker, that's a good name to go consider there. Jerry Jeudy, I'd call about him. Roquan Smith, Chris says Tyler Boyd, Lockett. Don't think they're available, but you can always call there. Diego's having fun trolling. Someone says sign Will Fuller. He retired, actually. Under the radar, he retired. He's done. Yeah, Will Fuller's called it a career in the NFL, which I don't think was very widely reported, but yeah, make sure I didn't get got by fake news there, but pretty sure Will Fuller retired. Maybe not. Maybe I did get got by fake news. Oof, that's embarrassing. Yeah, I think I did. Disregard me. I'm being stupid. How embarrassing for me. A super chat came in from Massive Matt. We'll hit that in a moment here. There are also some Chase Claypool's decent one calling there. Massive Matt says, unlikely, but Neville and a second or first for Payne. I think the Commanders would say yes to that. I would say no. I think that's too much for Daron Payne. Second and Neville is maybe pushing it. I would consider a third in Gallimore, since I think Gallimore, unfortunately, is kind of falling out of favor in the Cowboys organization. I wouldn't get my hopes up too much there for him at this point. He didn't have the best offseason with being around the team and his work ethic, which is pretty disappointing. I think that's too much for Payne. I think Commanders would say yes, so I appreciate you giving offer from that standpoint. Now, this is a fatty only all the way through. Fatties only will never die, unless you're Dontari putting your ticket too literally. Johnathan Hankins is the definition of your run clogger, who you're not asking to get a bunch of big-time stats. You're asking to clog lanes and free up your linebackers, and now you actually go too deep with true one techniques on your depth chart with Hankins and with Quinton Bohanna. So spam fatties only for me in the comment section and show some love for Johnathan Hankins. Now, here's the trade details again. Raiders get a 6th-round pick this year. The Cowboys get Hankins and a future 7th rounder. So this is fairly low from that perspective in terms of like the value given up. Hankins and a future 7th for a 6th. It equates to a Hankins for a 7th this year. We know how those guys don't often turn out. That's fine from that perspective. Luis D. Garza's down bad. This trade sucks, and it was with no hope for a DJ Moore trade. First off, if DJ Moore were available, I don't believe that he is, how does this take away any trade for DJ Moore? It's a 6th-round pick. You're not giving up a 6th-round pick for DJ Moore. You're moving your premium assets for DJ Moore. So this trade has no impact on DJ Moore. But if you've been watching what I've said for weeks now on both our NFL and our Cowboys Report channels, or the main chat sports channel, I should say, I don't think DJ Moore is getting traded. DJ Moore's a 25-year-old star receiver who the Panthers value highly, who they literally just paid like 7 months ago. That is not a player you typically see get dealt. So I appreciate the super chat, Luis, but I think your DJ Moore trade hope should have already been down super low at this point because, well, I don't think he's getting dealt. Fun way in now. Where are you guys watching from? Let me know in the comments section. I'm going to sip some of my Gatorade. And by the way, Craig D is right. Hit the like. It's free. He's right. Like the video. Like that video for me as well, and I'll give some shout-outs for where y'all watching from. Chris McNally says Wilson and Cooper. Bhavik Patel says Mayfield, Kentucky. Tim Bay says your boy Bryce. San Antonio, Texas says Jorge Sanchez. Daniel says San Antonio. Andrew says Dallas. 214 Dallas says Dallas. Checks out, right? Freeport, Austin. A different Luis is from Austin. Mr. Slinky says your mom's house. Okay, sure you are. Chihuahua, Mexico from Diego. I hope I pronounced that city correctly. Charlottesville, Dodgeville, Wisconsin. Never heard of that one. Charlottesville, Phoenix, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Katy, Texas, Austin, Lancaster, Longview, Laredo, Henderson, Newport News, Lakeway, San Antonio, L.A., San Angelo, Del Rio. I think I got that right. Yeah, Del Rio. Kingman, Arlington, Orange. Johnny Martinez. Think we can get a Mark Cooper for a 5th. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Fresno, Roanoke, Crystal City, Ritzville, Lafayette, Long Fox, Washington, Temple, Sioux Falls, Lawrenceburg. Let's go back to the trade for those of you just now tuning in here. The Cowboys have acquired Johnathan Hankins in a deal with the Las Vegas Raiders for a 7th-round pick. For a 6th-round pick and a 7th-round pick going back. This is a backup player for the Cowboys. It's going to be a run stopper who gets, 15, 25 snaps per game, but it's also a 6th-round pick you gave up. You got a 7th-round pick back, too. It amounts to a 7th-round pick going back to the Raiders for Hankins. They're a seller. You're a buyer. You're playing some really good run defenses coming up here in a little bit, so I'm curious how that will fare from that standpoint. with what else they do on the line. You've got a lot of dot bodies there right now on the defensive line. Maybe you could trade someone. It's an option. Some super chats coming in from Dwayne Porter. Denzel Mims is the best wide receiver option out there for the boys. Hankins is the Jones kind of DT, low-cost fatty. Sue would have made more of an impact. I would be inclined to agree Sue probably makes more of an impact. There should be a big red flag going off, though, that nobody signed the Ndamukong Suh, and we're almost to November. Maybe he's not in shape. I do know he wanted a lot of money. Sue wanted $9 million a year. I don't think no one clearly has given him that. Would rather have Hankins at basically the vet minimum, and you're down a 7th-round pick, or a Sue for $9 million in your own 7th. Like, that's kind of a wash, I guess, in the end. T. Thompson, can we get some wide receiver help, please? I would love to get receiver help. So I want to preface that by saying, yes, I would like more receiver talent. I also have seen this team watch James Washington get hurt and go, we're fine. And go, our 3rd-round rookie's not making an impact. We're fine. Noah Brown apparently has the drops when he plays with Dak and fumbled badly. And they go, we're fine. Well, he's been pretty good overall this year, relative to expectations. I've seen Gallup not make a big impact coming back from injury. Kind of concerning to me. And they go, we're fine. So I would like to. I don't know if they're going to at this point. I would love to be wrong on that. I thought they'd make no trades. I'm already wrong once, so let's keep it going, me being wrong. But I'm not going to get my hopes up either, unfortunately. Andrew Summers, $2 super chat. Almost the value of Coop for Hankins. LOL, F Chugs. It's not that far off. It's, you're 5th and a 6th for, it was 5th and a 6th for Cooper, 5th and a 6th-round pick swap for Cooper, and, you get the 6th and a hint for Hankins and a 7th. So it is more valuable for Cooper, but I don't want to talk about the Amari Cooper trade anymore. It's not fun. Brett Stevens, $5 here. Neville Gallimore for Curtis Samuel, straight up. Thoughts? I don't know if the Commanders would do that. I think I would, though. The issue with Samuel is he's always hurt. And that was a big reason why the Cowboys traded Amari. They kind of made it personal, too, with his availability. And despite what they might say, the COVID vaccine, I think, was a factor in that because they didn't think he was a team player. Agree or disagree? It's not a problem now, so I wouldn't have done that from my standpoint, but is what it is. Samuel brings you some speed and some dynamic ability you don't really have on this roster right now at receiver, so I'd have interest. Not sure the Cowboys or the Commanders would, though, but I like the idea, Brett. Trade details, again, for you guys. Johnathan Hankins going to Dallas Cowboys, plus a 7th-round pick next year, future 7th, for a 6th-round pick this year. So that's going to be a late 6th. We'll see where the 7th-round pick sorts out. Doesn't matter all that much in the end. And Hankins. Some more super chats coming in. We'll hit these, and we'll break down the Hankins trade in full. Then we'll get caught up on all the supers that come in as well. From Will Marshall, Dan Quinn goes Ravens Super Bowl defense. That one, they had Sam Adams, Siragusa up front. Bohanna, Hankins plugged the middle. Let the DE and linebacker eat. Every time Wilson's in a super chat, I'm like, yeah, I like what he's going for. I agree. You now have, for the first time in a long time, the ability to put 2 actual nose guards up front in Hankins and Bohanna. Now, I think that maybe happens 5-10 snaps a game maximum, but it gives you the ability to keep your linebackers free and hopefully make life easier on your edges, too, because I don't think your edge contain beyond Tank Lawrence has been that great this year. Your cornerbacks have not done a great job taking on blocks, but yeah, they're corners. It's kind of expected there. You guys know I am the founder of the Fatties Only campaign, and I have never felt more seen and heard by this Cowboys organization than adding 2 fatties in Bohanna and Hankins now, and at some level maybe correcting the fact that you lost John Ridgeway to the Commanders. From Bilgo Metz, a $5 super chat. Claypool would be a nice pickup for Dallas. I'd call an offer a 3rd. I think you've got about the right value there for Chase Claypool. I think that would be a reasonable offer from the Steelers' perspective. I do wonder a couple things here beyond would the Cowboys do it? Because who knows if they would. Does Claypool fit what they want to do on offense? He does bring you some speed. 4.42 40-yard dash at 238. Big-time athlete. Pittsburgh wants to see what Kenny Pickett can do, and I don't know if trading Claypool mid-season is their best route. I would wonder if Claypool makes more sense in the end as a post, as an off-season trade, which I'd call. I think you're right, Bilgo. I just want them to try things. And they tried something today, and I'm very pleased that they did, making a Hankins trade. Don't stop there. Keep calling. The NFC is very gettable if your offense can be a little bit better. You don't have to be top 5 like you were last year. You got to be top 10. You're not top 10 right now. Christian Carbajal, what receiver in next year's draft do you think the Cowboys will take? What's your opinion on a good receiver about this team? Are they going to take a receiver early? Because you've invested in CeeDee Lamb and Gallup. Are you out already on your third-round pick, Tolbert? You might be, which is a different conversation and fine. I would like someone with speed. You don't really have speed that you're playing at wide receiver. You got a lot of guys who are like 200 pounds and run 4.5. Get some diversity in terms of your skill sets and add some speed. That's the route I would go. I don't know if they're going to take an early round pick. Quentin Johnson would be a lot of fun. I see a bit of mini Dez in him. I think Jack Smith and Jigba's a nice route runner. Some Tennessee guys have flashed, both Tillman, McCoy, and I'm forgetting his name, the guy with 4 scores against Bama, whatever. Kayshon Boutte's been he's been booty this year, unfortunately. So there are receivers. I wonder if that's not going to be their round 1 pick. All right, the in-depth breakdown of Johnathan Hankins' trade coming up in a minute. Get your supers in. We'll hit those after this full breakdown of the Hankins trade. You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report, and breaking news here, our second video of the day on Tuesday. Earlier today, the Cowboys made the big splash to sign Kendall Sheffield to the practice squad. Now they make a really big move as the Cowboys trade for Johnathan Hankins, the defensive tackle who we actually once had several years ago as a defensive tackle target for this team. The Raiders are getting a 2023 6th-round pick. The Cowboys, of course, get Hankins and a future 7th. So from a pure trade value perspective, it's really Hankins for a 7th. That 6th-round pick should be late. Then there's the comp picks, of course. That 7th-round pick could be anywhere, but probably going to be middle or early at worst. Maybe it's a little bit late, but it's a 7th, so who really cares that much? It's a 6th-round pick for Hankins and a 7th. I'll also make note from a projected comp pick perspective, which are projections. Playing time matters more now. That's a factor. You are in line to get at least one 6th-round pick, probably a 4th and a 5th mixed in there too. So you have extra 6th-round picks to play with there from that viewpoint for the Cowboys. So I like the trade for Dallas. I mean, it's a fatties only, right? You're adding a fatty up front. I will never be mad, and they actually did something as we were all begging them to make a trade. So I want to hear from you guys first and foremost. What is your one-word reaction to the Johnathan Hankins trade? Good, bad, indifferent, sad, happy? Fatty's my one word, by the way. I will leave it up to you guys. In fact, I'll make this question the pinned comments on today's video. So if the ad break happens to come here on YouTube, cool, it's great timing. Head down there. Let me know your one-word reaction to the Hankins trade. My one word is fatty. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. To be clear, for those of you who are not familiar with the Fatties Only campaign, it is a positive campaign because you want those big hog mollies up front to clog the run lanes. You want to have the ability to have big defensive tackles up front and be able to add them and allow yourself to play that 2-deep shell coverage. Hankins, who of course comes from the Las Vegas Raiders, was drafted by the Giants in the 2nd round way back in 2013 out of Ohio State. He had the Big Hank nickname. He re-signed with the Raiders in April of this year, kind of late in that free agency process. He's kind of bounced around in recent years, but he has been most successful with the Colts and Raiders, I would argue. Giants kind of flashed a little bit late in his career. Had one big outlier a year from a sack and TFL perspective. He's not someone who is going to, nor who you are asking to, generate big stat production. and that's fine. That's not his role or his job. His job and role is to stop those runs and clog the lanes, take up a blocker or two ideally, and let your linebackers or your safeties, if you're playing the big nickel package, make the plays. The Cowboys now have extra depth along that defensive line, especially amid the Terrell Basham trade rumors out there, which we've discussed before. Osa and Bohanna I will continue to label as your starters at the 3 technique and the 1 technique spot. Last week, the Cowboys rotated Tristan Hill and Carlos Watkins fairly heavily. There could be a surprise injury that we don't know about at this point. I have not heard anything of that coming out of the game. But I do know that Neville Gallimore was a scratch last week. Now, Gallimore is in a very interesting spot at this point because I've heard some negative things about his off-season work ethic and whatnot, and that's a big reason why he was playing deep into the preseason. He hasn't been that impactful yet, which is a bit of a disappointment because I love him at Oklahoma. I was happy about that move. I'm curious what happens to Gallimore now because you're not going to have 6 DTs active on game day. It's going to be at most 5. And you just traded for Johnathan Hankins to make him active on game days. Maybe not necessarily this week against the Bears, but possible. But we'll see what happens in practice week if he can play playbook fast enough. But I'm curious what happens to Gallimore now. The wrist is allegedly an issue too. We'll know more throughout the week. If he doesn't practice Wednesday with the wrist, maybe he is banged up. We'll wait and see on Gallimore, but the Cowboys have some issues up front. At least they thought they wanted to fix with Hankins. Hopefully him on the interior makes life easier for your linebackers and your defensive ends. The ends have not been great at setting the edges, but by adding some more meat up front, I think it'll make life easier on them as you play some very good run offenses down the stretch of this season. Folks, this is exactly why you subscribe. When news happens, we cover it. Sometimes we go live as well. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe for free Cowboys YouTube videos all day, every day, right here at the Cowboys Report. Let's hit some Hankins stats here. Shout out to my boy Mitchell Renz for the Raiders Report for making all these because, Raiders. Hasn't played a lot this year, 120 snaps so far. The run grades are not elite from that perspective. Obviously, I meant run defense, not done defense, but I was going quick, so my bad. Career-wise for Hankins, not a lot of impact. This is not a tackle for loss machine, a sack machine, but that's also not what he's really ever been asked to be. I would argue that as of late, Hankins' career has been not as, but that's okay. He's getting up there in age. You traded him for cheap, so you know the expectations going in. His job, as I've said before, is to stop the run, absorb those blocks, clog the lanes. He's not going to be a really clear gap penetrator who's getting in the backfield, making a bunch of TFLs in the same way Tank Lawrence or Micah Parsons is. This is someone whose job is to, hey, the guard and center are blocking me. Now my linebacker's free to go make the tackle. That's what you're asking for from Hankins, and at his size, he can do that, I promise you. The numbers last 4 years have begun to decline. That's, again, expected as these defensive linemen continue to age. He is 30 years old right now, but he does bring you fantastic size at 320-plus pounds. I like the move to add Hankins. It gives you depth at the defensive tackle spot, and it makes the Fatties Only propaganda machine and me happy. So grade this trade. A, B, C, D, or F. I have a very tough time going anything less than a B. It's cheap. It's a veteran depth. And they did something, which we all wanted them to do. They at least are trying to boost their roster a little bit more, despite what Jerry Jones said recently publicly. So grade the Hankins trade. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section. Today's show is also made possible by BetUS. They're our sportsbook partner. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys125 gets you a 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys125. Bet on the Cowboys to beat the Bears this week. They're coming off the win. I actually feel better about that than a pissed off and desperate Bears team a little bit. They look much better on offense. Dallas should win that game and a lot of their games down the stretch. Some final thoughts for myself here on Hankins. I'm pleased with it. I know a lot of you wanted the big, sexy, splashy trade. I get that. I understand it. I do. I would argue if maybe linebacker is a bigger need because I've been unimpressed by Anthony Barr. but I'm never going to be mad about a team adding more pieces. We've wanted them to be more aggressive because they were not aggressive in the offseason, and they did something. Now, the big splash trade, I'm still unconvinced will actually end up going down, but hey, I wasn't going to do any trades, and they did one already, so I wouldn't mind seeing another trade from that standpoint. So I'm happy they made a trade. I would like to get more. I'm also not going to get my hopes up too much on that standpoint. My final request on this vid: type fatties only in the comments section. It's a positive thing, and I'm very pleased that Hankins is a member now of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, we'll stay alive here as long as the supers are coming in. Otherwise, we'll go to loop. So we'll put 2 minutes on the clock after we get to the last 3 super chats that came in. I'll also say this. We'll bring back our normal live show stream. Every $20 super chat is a shot. We'll do shots for $20 supers here. Have some fun. Andres Gonzalez is first up here, though. Think of KJ Osborne, Isaiah McKenzie. Well, Patrick Seaman's actually our Vikings fan. Yeah, they're not going to trade Osborne, are they? Nah. Vikings are a contender. They're not going to make that one. Isaiah McKenzie, I got to check the Bills' snap counts here, but they're a contender, so you're not typically going to see them shot players at this point. Decent names if they were bad, but because they're good, you don't get your hopes up there. Lawrence Jewell, can you put Tyler Smith at left tackle, Tyron as left guard next year, draft a stud center like a Frederick Bill O-line? Thoughts? I don't think you can play Tyron at left guard. I don't think that's something that he can do anymore. In fact, I would say this. I think this is Tyron Smith's last year as a Cowboy. And I kind of made that point before the year. I'm like, the body's failing him. The contract is now get out of a bull. Is that right? Able to be dumped after this year. You think I'm doing shots all day already. Able to be dumped. I think if they bring back Tyron this year, I would say he goes at left tackle and Tyler goes back to left guard to get your best 5 out there. Because to be honest, I don't think Tyler's played that great the past few weeks. There was a couple rough reps against the Lions that he got worked on. Terrence Steele, too. That's got to get figured out if the Cowboys are going to make some noise in the postseason. All right, Carlos, $2. All I want is a big splash trade or signing. It's funny because big media will tell you, Jerry Jones loves a splash. And their last splash was a desperation Amari Cooper trade. Beyond that, they don't make him anymore. They don't. It's not how Steven wants to do business. MLZ's videos. What's a trade plus cost we want to make right now if you're the Cowboys realistically? I would call about receivers. What's the cost of Jerry Jeudy? I don't know if a third is fair for him, but I'd call about it. If I can get him for a third, I do that. I'd call about the Jets receivers. I'd be looking at wide out. I'd also love to find offensive line. That's like my idea was, I get a plug-and-play lineman somewhere. Those guys aren't available. That's just not how it works. In the modern NFL, it's very tough to find plug-and-play linemen from a trade perspective. From JT, so is Jerry going to watch Roquan live this week? Get excited and trade for him. One can dream. I appreciate that, JT. It's funny. Probably not, but hey, you can dream if you want there. Thoughts about Bland starting? Yeah, he's definitely going to be your starter at nickel corner over with the injured Jordan Lewis. I was very impressed by Deron Bland in the preseason. I thought he was fine against the Commanders, so I'm fairly excited for what we'll get out of Deron Bland in this upcoming matchup. All right, 2 minutes going on the clock. If there are supers that come in, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll go to loop. So as the supers potentially come in, let's recap the news of the day. The Johnathan Hankins trade has been made. I think it's official. Technically, both teams have announced it. A 6th-round pick going to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for Hankins and a 7th-round pick, a future 7th. Dallas gets the player and the later pick. The Raiders get the earlier pick. These two orgs, by the way, regardless of who the GM has been for the Raiders, pretty good working relationship. You guys remember the Jihad Ward, Ryan Switzer trade? I remember that one. Then the Raiders poached like Jeff Heath and Jason Witten all in a bunch of years in a row because they signed the special teams coach. That was pretty fun there. That's the trade. Hankins and a 7th for a 6th round pick. We got about a minute on the clock. Get those supers in. I didn't catch who it was. Somebody didn't like the fact that I said Smith had not played great the past couple games. I'm sorry, but I'm right. I'll say overall, I am pleased with how Tyler Smith has played. I will say the past 3 weeks, he's allowed 3 of his 4 sacks, 1 of his 3 quarterback hits, 4 of his 8 pressures, or 4 of his 8 hurries, so over half of his hurries have come in the last 3 games versus the first 4. He's also committed 6 penalties this year, 3 in the last 3 games, 2 of which have been declined. So he's not playing bad, but I also don't want to put up the expectation of, oh my God, he's an all-pro. Like, he's been better than some of the rookie linemen out there. He's definitely been worth the pick so far, but I wouldn't say he's been like balling out at this point. There have been some moments like, yeah, he's a rookie, which is fine. I'm not upset with the way Tyler Smith has played, but hoping for a little bit more. All right, reset that 2-minute timer. Seas Frog coming in. Bryce Hall and Denzel Mims for a 3rd and Basham. I really like it. I like it a lot. Now, the 3rd it's a lot. Can I get him for a 4th? Because if I could do a 4th and Basham for Bryce Hall and Denzel Mims, those 2 guys I love coming out of college. And Hall played well last year, but the Jets got a bunch of really good corners, so he's been benched, so it's fine. I don't know if Mims is going to be a piece. That's why I'm hesitant to give up a 3rd. Like, I don't know if those guys are depth or starters, but I like what you're going for there. I do. I promise you. All right, JT again. Also, if we get to 69 total in supers, we'll do a shot. We're at 63 right now. We're very close. JT, why not entertain Tyron at right tackle, assuming health? I think health is a big factor. And if you talk to the NFL offensive line experts, and I think this happened to Zach Martin too, when you are switching sides, especially at an advanced age, you set yourself up for more injury risk because your body mechanics and movements are different. Everything's flipped. And you might not ever see Zach Martin admit it publicly, but I think the big reason why he got hurt when Dalton was the quarterback and Dak had already gone down was because he tried to play right tackle instead of right guard. And that was just different for him, and it led to the injury. And there's a reason why Martin doesn't want to play right tackle. Tyron Smith is old. I don't think you want to try to make him learn a new position. And honestly, outside of the penalties that he's committed with Dak as QB and then fixed them without Dak, and that's like really weird coincidence, and that's all it is. Terrence Steele's played pretty well this year. I think another step up from what he was last year. He's clearly better on the right side than on the left side. And I think the whole purpose is, okay, let's get our best 5 out there on the offensive line, right? Who are your best 5? When healthy, Tyron Smith, no particular order, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele, Tyler Smith, and I guess pick a McGovern or Biotish. The easy way to make that all happen is to keep Terrence Steele at right tackle because I don't like him on the left side. It's a good question, though, JT. Tristan Brown, as we are 4 away from a shot, we'll do a shot for 69 total and for 20 individual super chats, $20 super chats there, just like we do for live shows. Kelvin Joseph, a bust. Feels like a waste of a second-round pick. I like what Kelvin Joseph has done on special teams. Minus, I would argue, some questionable penalties. I think he's been pretty steady. But for what you expect for a second-round pick, it's not good. Defense does not trust him right now. I don't think Dan Quinn trusts him. And that's a big problem for Kelvin Joseph. So I'm not going to call him a bust yet. But there is no other way to describe him other than a disappointment so far as a second-round guy. He needed time, but the time is also ticking here. I think the Cowboys giving him a chance after what happened in the offseason. Got to start making it worth their while, though. All right, the trade details, for those of you just now tuning in live here. The Raiders have traded Johnathan Hankins, the defensive tackle, to the Dallas Cowboys. The Raiders get a future 6th-round pick. The Cowboys, meanwhile, are getting a 7th-round pick. I think that's a pretty good deal. You're not giving up very much from that standpoint there. You're getting basically 7th-round pick value in exchange for Johnathan Hankins. That's a good deal for the Cowboys. I like it. 70 in super, so go get Patrick. Will get us the shot glasses here. You can do the Jack or the vodka. You're fine there. JT, Will McClay seems to have lost his touch. Kelvin, Gallimore, maybe Tolbert, Taco, anyone I'm missing. I do want to be clear. Nobody bats 100%. That's just not how it works. No one goes for 100%. And honestly, if you're hitting like 60% with an emphasis on your early round picks, you're probably doing a pretty good job overall. Yeah, there are some misses in there. Kelvin Joseph, big time miss. We'll see about Tolbert, a little bit early for me, relative to expectation for Joseph, I should say. Taco was a huge miss. Depending on who you listen to, you'll hear different things as to whose fault it was, right? For Taco in particular, that's a guy Rod Marinelli wanted real bad. In the end, Will McClay signed off on it. You can look at what they've done 2020. CeeDee Lamb, not a star, but he's been the second best receiver in that class pretty easily. Trayvon Diggs. Gallimore's not been great. Robinson, but you got starting reps out of Tyler Biadasz. So I don't love Biadasz, but as a 4th-round pick, that was a good pick there. 2019 was, you got play out of, in the end, McGovern, Pollard, and Wilson made that draft class. 2018, honestly, LVE's been fine. Williams wasn't what some people wanted or thought he was worse than what he was, but he's a starter and was a starter for you for 4 years. That's fine. Gallup is a piece for you. Dorrance Armstrong's coming along. Dalton Schultz. Cedric Wilson found success. So you even got contributions still from your 2017 class. I mean, Anthony Brown's still playing for you. Noah Brown for 2017. Jordan Lewis. Cheeto's been good, just not for you. You might have made some mistakes picking and choosing who you've paid, but I also wouldn't call McClay losing his touch all the way yet. Early returns right now for 2022. I've been really impressed by Sam Williams. Not everyone liked that pick. I was on board with it. Ferguson's shown some flashes at times. Deron Bland might be a keeper for you. We'll see about the linebackers, Clark and Harper. And I think Tyler Smith's been better than what I thought he was going to be. So I'll call that a win right now as well. All right, shots for 70 in supers. Cheers, folks. Woo! Patrick did one too. He did some fireball. There you go. All right, 2 minutes on the clock. If the supers come in, we will stay live. Otherwise, we'll go to loop, and I'll go film the other 8 videos I have to film today. It's not 8, but it's pretty close to it. So get the supers in. Reminder of what happened, why we're live today. Johnathan Hankins traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to your Dallas Cowboys. Late round pick swap going on here. A 6th-round pick goes to Vegas, and Hankins and a 7th coming back to the Dallas Cowboys. I like the deal. It's a fatty, right? Spam fatties only in the comment section. That's all I ever wanted in life was some fatties only. And the Cowboys are doing it. They listened to me. I'll take credit, I guess, even though it's definitely nothing I did. It's cheap. It's veteran depth up front. You're playing a lot of good run defenses down the stretch. I don't think Dan Quinn liked what he saw on film against the Lions. Couple big plays at the middle. Your edges beyond Tank have not been great edge setters. I think Anthony Barr's had some issues. Hopefully Hankins keeps some standpoint from that and keeps things locked. You can now go Bohanna and Hankins up front. 2 nose guards. Cowboys haven't had that opportunity in a very long time. We will stay live as long as the supers keep coming in. We've got 40 seconds to do that. A lot of Daron Payne requests. You can probably write yourself off at that point. It's just not going to happen. Nick McLean says James Washington to Washington in a 5th for Payne. No, it's not remotely enough. Guys, I don't think James Washington has any real value right now. I don't even know if he's going to play for you. I really don't. I'm uncertain at this point. So, Super Chat, though, coming in. Tristan Brown. Is Schultz's role in danger? Hendershot looks good. So, I have been pleased, I'll start with this, by the play of both Peyton Hendershot and Jake Ferguson relative to expectations. I think that's a very fair way of putting it. I do think we're overhyping what they've done so far this year. I don't think either guy's been elite in the run game, and frankly, I would argue maybe Schultz is just as good, if not better. Hendershot's got 7 carries for 7 catches for 70 yards and a score. Ferguson has 8 for 67 and a score. Schultz has 14 for 129. Now, there's more targets going to Schultz, but still been just as productive, if not more so, than Schultz, or than Hendershot and Ferguson. Also, Hendershot's among your leaders in penalties, and that's a problem because that should not happen for your third-string tight end. So I think long-term, yes, that role is in danger for Schultz. This year, I don't think so, but you'll see rotation because he's not 100% right now. All right, 2 more minutes. Back on the stopwatch here. We'll stay live as this. Oh, well, I guess we'll reset it. JT, another one. Is Zeke back next year? Pay cut and Pollard walks. I think that's the scenario in which Zeke comes back to this team. It ends up being less of the Amari Cooper situation or the Lyle Collins situation and the Tank Lawrence one, where the Cowboys say, you know what, we still like you. We could take less money. And Zeke says, yeah, I'll do it. I don't want to go anywhere. I'll come back for less money. I don't see Zeke coming back on his current deal. I think that's just not a very realistic outcome. Well, Zeke has been better this year. Thought he's run the ball fairly effectively. He's also averaging still just 4.1 yards per carry, and there is no planet in which you should pay $18 million or whatever it ends up being for 4.1 yards per carry. That's low for Zeke. His career average is 4.5. It's below his career average. It's a half yard higher than his total career, than his career low. So I think you're right, JT. A new deal, a pay cut like Tank got, could make sense. And in the scenario Pollard walks, I think he still drafts someone fairly early, but I think that's a viable option there. 2 more super chats. Robert Esco, $1 super chat. Thank you, Robert. Terry Ramey has a $5 super. I did not see a question in there, Terry, so if we see it, we'll come back to it, but I appreciate both of those. And Eddie Joe, some more super chats coming in. Okay, we're not going to start the timer yet. Not going to start it. We're good there. Eddie Joe, would you trade for wide receiver DJ Chark or sign him at the end of his 1-year contract? He just went on IR. You're right. He went on IR. It's an ankle injury. He said he'll be back, but I'm not trading for an injured player. After this year, yeah, I'm fine with that. I will say this. Injuries have been a problem for him. He fits what you don't have, which is a speedy outside threat. Gallup can go downfield, but he's not a burner. I'd love a speedy yak guy, but those guys are not easy to find because they get drafted early and get paid a lot, right? After this year, free agency-wise, yeah, I'd have interest. Trade, not right now. Lance Dunbar's burner, welcome back. Who do you go get from a losing contender right now? I think losing contender is kind of, what's the word when it, oxymoron, I think is what it is. Yeah, thanks, Patrick. I'm calling the Panthers about players. I'm calling for receiver help in particular. They're not going to give me DJ Moore, but I'll call about other guys. I would call the Broncos too. Denver is who I'm looking at. I don't need Bradley Chubb. He's talented though. Can I get Jerry Jeudy? I don't know what the cost is. I honestly don't. But if it's a third or less, I'm in. Here's my 3rd round pick. And I'll plug in Jerry Jeudy and see if Jeudy, Lamb, and Gallup plus Noah Brown can be my pieces long term. That's a fun idea, or at least for this year. $5 from Chris B. Do these moves today show the defense, the Joneses have more confidence in Quinn than they do McCarthy/Moore? Offense hasn't got any help. It's a good question. I think the practice squad signing is just depth. Don't read into that one. The trade, I think if we're being honest, we know that Jerry and Steven have more confidence in Quinn than Kellen and Mike, right? I don't think that's an outlandish statement to make. I think that's backed by what Jerry's said and done publicly, and Steven too, throughout this offseason. I would also wonder if you didn't have confidence, wouldn't you go get more help? But I think that the Cowboys know that defense is what's carrying them right now. Make it even better and hope the offense comes along. I think in the end, if you could get a quality receiver for that cheap, they would do it. But I don't think they can at this point. All right, 2 more minutes back on the clock. Any more supers come in, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and end it. Oh, there it is. Stop the clock again there. Dalton Rickwerts coming in here. Thank you, Dalton, for your $5 super chat. Cheers to you. Could we trade Hill in a 3rd-round pick for DJ Moore? No. Honestly, that's like a block the number and hang up number. Like, that's just not gonna work for the Panthers. The DJ Moore trade cost is a 1st, a 3rd, and something else. And it might even be a lot more else. The Panthers, it is more than the A.J. Brown trade because DJ Moore is just as good, and they just paid him. DJ Moore, it costs you $1 million this year if you trade for him. That is it. Every team can afford him. There'd be a massive bidding war. All 31 teams won. That's why I don't think Carolina trades him. So, see what they can get, but I wouldn't get my hopes up there. Nick Spovaldo? I got that wrong. I'm sorry. I hereby christen Micah Parsons as the Beast from the East. Please refer to him accordingly. I think the popular nickname has been 11 from Heaven has been the nickname so far. I like Beast from the East, though. I think that works pretty well, too, Nick. I appreciate that super. And a 20-piece from JP. Last one. Or JT. Last one. Take your shot. Thanks, JT. I would love a bruiser like Gus Edwards or Derrick Henry, but they're both getting old. Second question, if the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, do they trade and reset or push for a second all-in bowl like the Rams? Yeah, Edwards is still pretty young, but those teams aren't going to trade him. Honestly, you have your bruiser. It's Zeke Elliott. That's what he is right now. He is the smash, and Tony Pollard is your dash. Elliott is not an explosive player really anymore, but he maximizes good runs. He gets, when there's 1 yard blocked, he's going to get you 5. When there's 5 yards blocked, he'll get you 8. When there's 1 yard block, Pollard will probably get you just 1. When there's 5 blocks, Pollard, he might get you 25. He might get you 35. So Elliott, I think, is your basher at this point. So as the second question, if they win the Super Bowl, they don't trade and reset. They don't push or go all in. They just run it back and do nothing for 10 years. That's what they do. Cheers, JT. But hey, they got to win. Terry Ramey, this is a good question. James Washington, expectation versus reality when back. The expectation, the unrealistic one is Cedric Wilson 2.0. The reality is, why is he getting 5 snaps a game? Well, we'll see if and when he comes back, but he's not going to play over Gallup. He's not going to play over Lamb. Might get some reps taken away from maybe the occasional Noah Brown up when they go 11 or 10 personnel. But he's not going to start for you. He offers you some speed and vertical ability, but he's not like the full-fledged massive burner. So my expectations are low for James Washington. Jacob Snow, McLaurin for Noah Brown in a second. No. I mean, I do it. The Commanders won't. It's the same situation as DJ Moore. They just paid Scary Terry. Noah Brown is a substantial downgrade. He's also a free agent after this year. A second-round pick is not nearly enough for Scary Terry. You're talking a first and a second and probably more for Terry. I love him, but that's just, I think, unrealistic there. Clayton Boatman, sign Kenny Stills. I think he's done. Stills not done anything. The archetype of Kenny Stills, that speedy vertical threat, fits what I would like to get, but I think the actual player is not quite what they're looking for there. All right, 2 minutes once again on the clock. If the supers come in, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll go to loop, probably just the one time, and we'll film some other stuff here on the Cowboys Report. So get the supers in, or we'll end things. Again, the news of the day. There it is. Another super chat. All right. Hit the news, then the super. The Cowboys trade for Johnathan Hankins, the now former, Raiders defensive tackle, a 7th-round pick along with Hankins, future 7th for 2023 6th-round pick. All right, Abjit Parwar, super chat here. Given how the Bears played yesterday, what are the Cowboys' chances of winning against them? Fields looked like Kyler Murray yesterday. Did he, though? Did he? Athletically, on the run, yes. 14 carries, 80 whatever it was yards, and a score. He was also 13 of 21 through the air for 179, took 4 sacks, an INT. A better game from Justin Fields. I wouldn't put him in the Kyler Murray standpoint. I'll say this too. If Justin Fields fumbles 4 times again, what are the odds the Bears recover all of them? I don't think very high. The Bears put together, to be clear, their best game ever this year. Or of the year, I should say. Their ground game was strong. Dante Pettis had a big play. The Bears are not going to be an easy out, but my expectation is you win this game. You're going to be favored by a touchdown. You should win. So, as a Fields fan coming out of Ohio State, I hope he continues to play well. Not this week, but I would not put him in the Kyler Murray category quite yet, although he did look good on the ground. Historically, that's been a problem for opposing team or if the Cowboys stopping mobile QBs. A bit better, though, since Dan Quinn arrived. Fields holds the ball a long time. That's kind of his MO. I like Micah's chances in that one. All right, we'll stay live again. Another call, I should say. 2 minutes. As long as the supers come in, we will stay live. This is the rules set by me from the bosses. If I got other stuff to film today, but as long as the supers keep coming in, we can stay live. So 2 minutes on the clock right now. The trade details again from today's breaking news. Johnathan Hankins and a 7th-round pick in 2024 are going to the Cowboys. The Raiders get a 6th-round pick in this year's draft. From a trade value perspective, you're talking basically a 7th-round pick this year. The Cowboys have comp picks that are going to come in this year. We'll see what the injuries impact for Randy Gregory and Cedric Wilson are, because Ced's not playing, by the way, in Miami, which is kind of weird from that standpoint. Interesting as well. But they'll get some comp picks. They should get 3 of them. We'll see what rounds they are. But one of them, at minimum, I think will be a 6th-round pick. So you had house money there from the 6th-round pick perspective. I like the deal. You got a fatty up front. I don't think your interior line was your issue, but it doesn't help or does not hurt to get more. I like it from that standpoint. I like the lunatic. 700-pound linebacker formation, Bohanna and Hankins, the belt buster. I like that. The belt buster front. I like it. Those are some big boys up there. They're not quite 700 pounds, but they're not that far away either. Listed weight, they're right up on it. All right, we got 20 seconds left. This might be the final call. If a super comes in, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll tell you guys to subscribe, and we'll go to loop here. Got 10 seconds. That was fun to have it here. I appreciate everyone who tuned in live. A surprise live. There it is from Mark. We'll reset the timer here. Mark Havaspain coming through, $20. $2 or $2, I should say. Excuse me. I don't know why I said 20. Is he just a body or can he be a difference maker? Then we'll get to Dalton's super chat too. I think somewhere in between. Like, I wouldn't call Hankins like a massive difference maker. He's not going to be your number 1 defensive tackle. He's not going to be someone who should have been the stat sheet all game long. That's not what he's ever done, really, outside of 1 year with the Giants, which is kind of a fluky year. He is a run clogger. He's not just a body, though, either. He's going to, I think, do his job pretty well for the 15, 20 snaps he plays in any given game and give you an extra nose guard that you don't have right now and that I've always wanted. So I like the move for what it is. It's not a splash move. It's just a nice depth addition. All right, Dalton Rickwarts again. Why aren't we seeing Turpin more involved on offense? Maybe we could open up some plays. I don't disagree. Some reasons why, though. Size. He's tiny, guys. Kevontae Turpin is not a very big football player. This guy, we're talking about Tyreek Hill being tiny. He's way smaller than Tyreek Hill. So size matters there, as any fiance or my wife could tell you, which is a problem for me. Thanks, Manscaped. Turpin's tiny. I think the Cowboys view him as a package player, where certain role situations he fits, but he's not an every down receiver, which is kind of what I thought as well. But he's been a great return, man. What I would like, run a screen. Run a singular screen to Turpin. Get him the ball in space. Try a jet motion handoff more frequently. Like, get him in space and see what he can do. That's what I like to see. So maybe after the bye, the Cowboys make some adjustments there. I love Wyatt 01. I think interior lineman was most definitely the problem. I don't agree with that all that much. There were definitely some plays where your interior lineman got cooked, but I think overall for the Cowboys' run D, their issues were when they got out wide, the stretch plays, the jet motion stuff, where your corners are not very good, and I think your linebackers got caught up in space too much. And your edges beyond Tank Lawrence didn't set the need or the edge all that well. Now, with that said, I'm down to add more help up front. I don't think that does not hurt you at all, so I get where you're coming from. But I think, like in the Bucs game, for example, when they ran it pretty well on you, it was outside plays. The Giants ran it up the middle, and they didn't run the ball that well on you, to be honest. The Lions did a bit of both, but the Lions have one of the best ground games in the NFL. And I'll make note, too, down the stretch this year, you play some really good running teams. So adding more fatties, I'm down with there. Zach Taylor, there's a difference between on Zach Martin here. What would it take to get Brandon Cooks? I know teams have called on him. Houston just paid him. So I think a second. I think a second or more. They will not give him away. Had they not paid him this offseason, different conversation. But because they did, I don't think that's a path they really want to. They want somebody good at receiver to make life easier on Davis Mills and see what he can be. You don't want to go give away all of your assets, even if you're a bad football team. From Mark again, we need a wide receiver. Any serious trade talks for us? I'll say this, not that I've heard. I heard nothing about Hankins either. So I don't want to give false hope. I am not going to get my hopes up personally. I've heard nothing, but I think you're right. I would like another receiver. Hope I'm wrong. Kristen Brown, would you rather 2 prime Zach Martins on offense or 2 Micah Parsons on defense? It's a good question. Micah? Right? Isn't it Micah? Like, I think that the edges and like the versatility there coming off the around the corner is just a little bit more valuable than Zach Martin. And I assume the primes last the same length. It's not like we're not going to pretend Micah, like only get 2s of Micah or whatever. There is no wrong answer. Don't get me wrong. I think I'd take the 2 Micahs because that's like, Tyron Smith prime and Zach Martin prime, or Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Ware prime. Like, there's no wrong answer. I think finding those premier edges, that freak athlete, is a little bit more challenging than finding a premier guard. And I'm going to go with the guard for Zach Martin over offensive tackle and use my BS qualifier to explain my answer there in the end. All right, 2 minutes on the clock again. You've done a great job so far keeping poor Vikings. Isn't going to get filmed today, Patrick. Hate to see it. We will stay live as long as the Super Chats keep on coming in. So as the Supers flow, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll throw it on loop. Maybe no loop this time. We might just have to kill it. It's been going on for a while here. But we'll stay live as another Super comes in. There it is. From JT, $2. Why are there so many damn bots in the chat lately? Because the bots are jealous. The bots know we do big numbers, and they want to steal some of the audience. That's why there are so many in there. We do our best, but honestly, they're not bots anymore. They're people. They're not doing the bot behavior. They're like commenting actual responses. So the bot channels have hired people to do their comments for them, and that's why it's working. It's annoying as hell. We've blocked a lot, but there we go. From Nick, the Dolphins are not using Cedric Wilson. No, they are not. It's weird. Trent Sherfield's. Now, Wilson's been a bit nicked up, but Wilson's not playing. Not the first time a Cowboys receiver has gone elsewhere and gotten paid and done very little. Hopefully that changes for him. Seas Frog, trade for Shaq Thompson. Of the Panthers players, that one's available. I think you could get him. Now, he's a little bit older. I think Dan Quinn still likes Anthony Barr, and, Dan Quinn has certainly earned the benefit of the doubt from that standpoint. But that's a very gettable name if you want a linebacker. He's not going to be as expensive as Roquan Smith. It's a quality trade name there, C's. I appreciate it. From Mark, my guy. Got your shot glass right here, my friend. Jeremy, you are probably a size 12, just saying. This is about, I don't know if you heard this, Patrick, but Jeremy, for the next live show on Monday, has to go as Little Bo Peep for Halloween. Thanks to Mark's super chat. So it's pretty funny there. All right. We'll put 2 minutes on the stopwatch here. If the supers come in,
question for Tom,
we'll stay alive.
actually.
All right, what's up, Patrick?
Chase Claypool with Jerry Jeudy. Who would you rather consolidate assets and go get?
Jeudy. I liked him more coming out. I think there's a bit more upside. And I kind of wanted to blame Denver for just being a dumpster fire. And I think in the end, Claypool's comments and head case stuff can be a bit of a turnoff. I hope the price would be the same there. All right. Another super chat, $5, Zach Taylor. That's $169, by the way, so I'll do another shot. Zach Taylor could have had 2 Micahs if they signed Von Miller. Now, that one is worth drinking for. Look. Dallas didn't want him. That's what happened. Dallas said no. Look, I know that the contract that he got from the Bills had big, flashy numbers, but it's not that big of a deal. It's really not. It's like it's basically 3 like under 60. You can cut him out after year 3 if you wanted to. Bottoms up, Zach. Johnny V, what about DJ Moore? We need a number 1 receiver. I'd call. They're going to say no. I would honestly have, like, all the trades that could happen, I would be most shocked by any DJ Moore trade. They just paid him. He's 25 years old. You're right, Johnny. He's a number 1 receiver. Yes, Carolina's rebuilding, but you almost never see teams trade away the guy they just signed to be the focal point of their passing game. And now offense with McCaffrey gone, since that was a much more palatable trade for Carolina, and eat a bunch of dead money. And whatever pick that they get back, they have to immediately spend on the same position because they have no depth behind him. So I would be shocked. Call if you want, but I bet the Panthers go 2 firsts and more. I think the Cowboys say, no, of course not. Troy Hernandez, $5. How does not signing Schultz and keeping Hendershot and Jake sound? I mean, they are playing better and aren't expensive and not as hurt. I will dispute that they're playing better. I don't think they are. But they are not hurt. That's a big factor. I think chemistry matters. I don't think it's an accident that Dalton Schultz has his best game of the year the second Dak Prescott comes back. It's not an accident. Those two are on the same chemistry, on the same page. It's a hell of a throw by Dak for the one to Schultz, by the way. He almost hurt himself again on. This year, stick with Schultz. After this year, let's see how they continue to play. They're getting playing time. I've been mostly impressed. I'm not going to just dump Schultz right now, but in the offseason, I don't think Dalton Schultz is a $15 million tight end. Someone would probably pay him that. So I'd let him walk if that's the cost. From Mark again, $5. With Tampa, Green Bay, and others having issues, do we have a legit shot of going deep in the playoffs? I'm worried our wins might have us lose Quinn and keep Chubbs. I know you mean McCarthy. It's funny a little bit. Yeah, Patrick laughed too. The NFC is wide open. Wide open. You're right. The Packers, the Bucks, the Rams, the Niners, all your assumed contenders don't look that good. They got real problems on offense. All those teams do. Just as much, if not more so, than the Cowboys do on offense. And the Cowboys are the best defense of that grouping right now, as Tampa's had some problems, but I think it's their offense making that tough on their defense. They'll be a good defensive team, I think, in the end. One of them will probably figure it out come playoff time. Someone has to win the NFC West as well. The Eagles are a very good team. Don't forget that. The Eagles are a very good team. They're one of the 3 good teams in the NFL. It's the Eagles, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And by good, I mean great, but you guys know what I mean, I think. Beyond that, it's wide open. And you lost to Philadelphia, not by that much, with 3 turnovers on offense. If you don't turn the ball over, you could have won that football game. Your defense is that good. Now, the Giants are also a good team-ish, but you already beat them with Cooper Rush. You got a better quarterback in right now. You can make a run. Now, what matters for this team, and this franchise in particular, is actually doing it. Because they've had great regular season success before. Whether it's Romo or Dak, they've had the great regular season success, and they will come playoff time. That's got to change. So, win your games right now. Take care of business. Make the run. I think you have the talent to. Overall, offense not playing great, but it should get better as the year goes on. Defense is awesome. Actually go do it. It's the only analysis I can offer anymore. Like, it's been a long time. At a certain point, you just have to nut up and do it. And they haven't done that so far. All right, 2 more minutes. Back on the clock. As long as the Supers stay in, we'll stay alive, and no more loop. We'll just end it here. 2 minutes. If you're just now tuning in, here are the trade details. A 6th-round pick going to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cowboys get Johnathan Hankins and a 7th-round pick in 2024. So trade value-wise, it really amounts to end up being a 7th-round pick for Hankins. He's going to give you 15, 20 snaps a game, probably max, as a run stopper. He's not going to be a sack machine, even a TFL machine. His job, whether it's on the wide plays or the inside zone plays, is to help clog the lanes, free up your linebackers, make life easier on your tackling machines. J-Ron Kearse, Donovan Wilson, LVE. Hopefully Anthony Barr plays better. That's the route the Cowboys are hoping here with Hankins. Cheap trade. They did something, and I like it from that perspective. All right, a minute left. And we'll end today's live show. I'll go eat lunch for the first time. Film like a bunch of vids. We got a lot of those to do, don't we there, Patrick? I got. We'll see if Titans got done. Probably not. We got a Vikings. I got Steelers. A lot of stuff to do today here on NFL, on Cowboys Report, because that's the job here at Chat Sports, and I love it. There it is. Oh, JT's trolling. I don't even know if I want to reset the timer for that one. Jesus. JT's having too much fun today. Sign Earl Thomas. Shot. I'll give you a baby shot. Have a good day, Tom. Thanks, JT. Yeah. The Earl Thomas stuff is dead. I'll do a little baby shot here. Just literally a splash of it there. Troy Hernandez. The NFC is wide open for anyone. We can win it. I agree. And that's why I was so frustrated in the offseason. Because we knew this. We knew it was going to be wide open. Also, I disrespected your Vikings too, Patrick. They're also they're a solid team, but Kirk. So I couldn't beat Cooper Rush. That's an embarrassment game from Minnesota. And that's true. Only one team has. He's the GOAT. We knew it was going to be wide open. The Packers lose Devontae Adams. The Bucks are losing pieces. Brady retires, unretires. The Niners are going to try to gamble on a rookie QB. The Rams are not going to win it again because no one ever repeats unless you're Tom Brady and the Patriots. Or the Cowboys and the Niners dynasty. So we knew it was open. And the Cowboys were like, we're not sure. We're not committed to Mike. And that's what happened. Mark's also having some fun here, too. Sign Romo with Earl Thomas. Your thoughts, Tom? LOL, man. It's just a throwback day here on the Cowboys Report. He's trolling, so I'll laugh at it. I know there are some who believe that, which is what's kind of funny and sad about it in the end. But, of course not. It's funny, though. Can't wait for when McCarthy if and when he gets fired. At some point he will be. It'll be the hire Romo as head coach debate again, which doesn't make any sense. But, all right. Carlos, a $2 super chat. $5 says CMC gets hurt for season for 49ers. I will not bet on injuries. That feels in bad taste. I will acknowledge the in general injury concerns this team has, or McCaffrey has. That was a lot to give up. Kind of felt like a desperation move from the Niners. Desperate can be good sometimes. The Rams were desperate. That worked out well for them. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, A. Moati PLLC. If I got that wrong, I'm terribly sorry. Should be trade for Chubb from Denver. If you needed an edge rusher, absolutely. But I really like the Cowboys edge rushing core. Tank Lawrence, the sack numbers aren't elite, but He's been so good this year. Turns out putting Micah opposite, and Micah deserves the credit, by the way. Getting Micah so much attention has made Tank's life easier, and a little bit of vice versa, too, because you don't always want one-on-one on Tank, and he's made some great plays. By the way, I have not given enough credit. I went back and watched the all-22 because I have no goddamn life. The forced fumble that Tank Lawrence had on the goal line was fucking obscene. That is one of the top 5 defensive plays on the goal line we will ever see. What Tank Lawrence did on that play, he got doubled. He split the double to get through, took on the fullback, made him miss, and then knocked the football out. I'm going to pull it up here for you, Patrick, because I sent it out. I think I actually missed a part of the play, too. The play by Tank Lawrence, off the charts good, but back to this whole conversation here. The Chubb impact, I don't think you need that because you're in good shape. You've got Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, good pass rusher this year. Micah, I think you're fine at edge. For the cost, I say pass. Andres Gonzalez, sign Dez and Bryce Butler. I do remember that this was a very popular question throwback too there, Andres. I appreciate that. It was funny, right? Jared Oding, sign Primetime while we at it. You kid, we will get higher Dez as a head coach, I promise you. I promise you that will be a comment. Andrew Summers, Sean Lee, too. As a coach, yes. His body failed him, too, though, in the end, which is pretty unfortunate from that standpoint here. All right, 2 minutes on the clock right now. I found the play. I'll actually read it off properly. So Tank Lawrence lined up, double team, tight end, and the tackle try to go on him. He splits it. There's a puller on the lead play. He blows through that. He blows through the fullback and forces the fumble all on one play. Absolute insanity from DeMarcus Lawrence. He slaps away the diving tackle. The tight end can't get him. The guard kind of misses. The fullback misses, and Lawrence knocks that football out. The game-changing play. I cannot do it enough justice. How impactful that one play was. It was insane. It's on my Twitter at WhatGoingDowney Lone Wolf. I'll throw it in the live chat. It was a retweet of somebody else who actually cut it all up, but because I wanted to see if someone had it to save my ass time because I'm a lazy person. Insane play by Tank Lawrence. Maybe you know what? I'll tweet it out again. That's what I'll tweet it out again today to make it easier. It'll be my freshest, most recent tweet there. More super chats coming in, so we'll stay live. All right, bunch of them. Cool. A lot of them just came in there. Here we go. All right, I'm going to have to go like a minute 30 here. It's fine, though. Super chats are fun. Mark, we are a DT, receiver, and O-line away from being a special team. I agree with receiver and offensive line. I would really, really like to get a high-end impact defensive tackle. I've wanted that for years. You're not going to get an Aaron Donald, but can I get a DeForest Buckner? God, that team would be so good. But can't always be greedy. All right, Preston 123. Looked at Emmanuel Forbes, Mississippi State, really long corner with good ball hawk skills. I have not watched him yet. I did a little bit of pre-draft study leading up to this year. I think I've heard good things about Forbes, if I'm remembering correctly. He's 13, right? That's his number. He's number 13, if I recall correctly. I haven't studied him yet. Those Mississippi State corners have been long and athletic, but not great 40 times. Looking at you, Cam Danzler. So I'll study him, but long corner ball hawk skills, that's my guy. Run that sub 4.4, sub 4.45. We can talk. I will watch corners this year. I promise you. That'll be a big focus there. Asia Persuasion says Forbes is good. He's on my list now. I eventually get a like a 500-player list of guys to watch that I kind of just like scrub through there real quick. So I'm sure we'll get him in depth, though. Jihad Busi, what can we do about the O-line to make a splash? The O-line in particular is if you didn't fix it in the offseason, you're kind of screwed. Because there's just such a dearth of good offensive line play in the NFL. So I'd ask around. I don't have any good names because, even a Matt Hennessy at center, is he better than Biotish? I don't know, maybe. but I'm not sure. Hunter Cornelius, Travis Frederick comeback season. No, he is not. I don't know if you've seen Frederick lately. He looks great. He looks awesome. But he ain't football shape anymore. He ain't come back to play center. Looks more like maybe a tight end. He's in great shape. I think Frederick, he went through the whole Guillain-Barré syndrome thing, and I think once he came back from that, he's like, okay, I'm good. I showed what I can do. I miss him every day, but I think he's happy away from football, at least playing football. All right, 2 more minutes on the clock. We will stay live as long as the supers come in, as the sex bots are back. Good Lord. All right. Hiding them, and I'll put them on sub-only chat for the rest of the show. There we go. Sub-only chat for a minute. I'll put it on for a minute for the minimum. Make it hopefully easier. All right, the trade today, by the way, Raiders get a 6th. The Cowboys did something. Hankins and a 2024 7th-round pick, so it's a late 7th next year for a late 6th this year. You know, it's a 7th-round pick in exchange for Hankins. That's the value to assign to it there. You add a fatty in the middle, and I love it. I love a good fatty. That makes me also phrasing, but fatties only will never die. You can always spam fatties only in the comment section there. I like that they did something. I want more. I'm greedy. Don't get me wrong. But I'm glad that they did something to get some help there. All right, super chat. There it is. Mark always keeps things going here. Of course he does. $1 or $2, I should say. How is the wife and kid trying to ship stuff today? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. They're doing well. Olivia had a bit of a runny nose this weekend, but she's fine. Apparently she had a blowout today, and my wife's really tired, and you know, that's a whole thing every time. But everyone's doing well. Everyone's doing well. Olivia did. The plan is for Sunday Olivia cameo, by the way, for our watch party. She's going as Harry Potter this year because my wife was out of town. My sister was babysitting because I was at work doing Cowboy stuff. And Olivia was walking along the table like she likes to do, and then she stumbled and hit her head on the table, and there's a nice little scar right there. But she's fine. The scar is getting smaller. She's fine. Don't worry about that. So everyone's doing well, Mark. Thank you very much. All right, 2 minutes on the clock again. What is this, the 10th time, 15th time, 20th time we've done this? Yeah. You guys making us wait. We'll have to put a super chat minimum on this here so we can go do other stuff today there. All right, there it is again for Mark. Keeping us going there. $2 for Mark. Would this DT be the best run-stopping DT we have now? In his prime, absolutely. He hasn't been prime. That's Hankins. Hasn't been prime Hankins for a couple years. I think overall that Bohanna's been decent. I think he got overhyped a little bit last year, but that's fine. I think he at least gives you a chance to be. I think Ose is still your best overall defensive tackle, but he offers you pass rush value. If Hankins can give you 15, 20 snaps of run stopping and save you a half yard per carry, just overall, that is a massive difference, and that I think is still somewhat reasonable from that standpoint. Start it again. 2 minutes on the clock. Nick McQuinn's asking about Riley Moss. I think it's a decent name to consider. Iowa's defense is great. The offense is an embarrassment. As for Hankins, by the way, when he plays, I wouldn't rule him out for the Bears game. He's coming in. Even if it's only a handful of snaps, he's got a chance. Pick up the playbook quickly. Also, you're going to be a run stopper, so here's the play call. It's not like it's the quarterback coming and having to know every verbiage of the offense there. That's a little bit easier from that standpoint. Super chat, $5. CJ DeYoung. Hey, Tom, during the last players-owner meetings, I thought they were going to add players to the active roster. Said it was, so instead of it was 53, it was more. What happened? So the NFL did agree to increase the active roster. But it's a bit deceptive overall. They changed some things. The game day active roster a couple years ago went from 46 to 48. Now, 8 of those players got to be offensive linemen or else you get 47. You can also carry 55 players. But the 55, 2 of them come from practice squads. So that's where the 55 number came about. And I think it kind of got misconstrued by some in media. Like, they're like, it's 55 now. It's still 53. It's just you get 2 game day practice squad call-ups if you want them. I will say I would like to see an increase in roster size. I think that's better for the game and health. All right, Gia Busey, would it be a good idea to go back to the draft for a true number 1 receiver and slide CD back to the slot? So I will say, I'll get the exact numbers up here right now. CeeDee Lamb is still playing a decent amount in the slot. They have moved him around a bit more frequently. Of his 409 snaps, 227 out wide, 182 in the slot. So he's still playing a lot as a slot receiver. And remember, this team is not running that much 11 personnel anymore. They've kind of cut back on that a little bit. So there aren't that many slot reps. He is still your main slot receiver. But I wouldn't mind adding another receiver. I just wonder if Lamb's going to be limited in the end as a 1B. He's not quite the 1 or a 1A yet. 1Bs are valuable, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at what Lamb has done. But there's another level he hasn't hit quite yet. Jason Renfro, $1 super chat. Thank you, Jason. Protect the Sun 1. Sick of people pretending we don't need a receiver. Do you think they will actually do something? I said it earlier. In the end, this Cowboys team, we all thought into the season, you need a receiver. You need a receiver. You need a receiver. You need a receiver. And they were like, no, we're fine. We took Jalen Tolbert. We're fine. And then he gets nicked up. And then we we signed Washington. And then he gets nicked up. And we're fine. And then they said they didn't need one. And now they're here. We still kind of think that they need one. Nothing has changed from their perspective, I think, to make me think they'll go make a receiver addition. So I'm not going to get my hopes up there. Is Tyron coming back? I think at some point at this right now, which I've kind of changed on. I wasn't sure. Now I think so. But I don't know if it might not be till December. So I would not count him as a guarantee. I would work your offensive line as if you're not going to have him, then make the problem call. CJ DeYoung had a super chat on Rumble. You can click the money bag icon on Rumble, and you can do a rant, and it'll stick around for a couple minutes. That's how you do it on Rumble there. From Mark, I'm done now. Aloha to your staff, even Jeremy. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. You're very kind. Appreciate everyone who's super chatted so far. 2 minutes on the clock, starting now. I'm not going to lie. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I won't lie to you guys. I have not eaten today because I don't eat breakfast. I don't know if you eat breakfast, Patrick. I don't believe in breakfast. Most important meal of the day. Yeah, whatever you say, farmers. The trade of the day, though, of course, is Johnathan Hankins. The Dallas Cowboys, a 7th-round pick as well. Next year's class for a 2023 6th-round pick. Those are the contract details, or the trade details, I should say. Hankins' contract, by the way, super cheap. Basically, vet min. You're not eating anything really there. No cap pie problems or the pie lie, as I call it, issues there for the Cowboys. Aside, just you wait. This offseason, Steven, you haven't paid anyone. Why? Well, we got that Micah deal coming down the pipeline. Yeah. You can't pay him until next year, after next year. So that's definitely a lie. And you got 2 team control there. From Mark, Skeletor is a clown. That's his nickname for Jerry, by the way. Sign a quarterback for me. Neither get rid of his wide receiver. He's that special. I'm going to hand the ball off and not re-sign Pollard. I get where you're going for, Mark. I do. I thought last week they really took the ball out of Dak's hands at points. I'm fine running the football. It's got to work, though. And you started the game on 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1, or sorry, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 1, or shorter. You ran the ball 6 times to open up the game. 6 times. You converted 2 of them. Horrendous. You've got to find a way to run the ball better in short. You've been great this year. I don't know what went wrong. Maybe the Lions are just fired up and ready to go. You got to do better there because that's what killed your early drives. That really hurt you. Your QB completed like 76% of his passes. It was only like he was fine-ish. He wasn't great. That was not his best game. I've seen his game. It was not Dak's A game. Don't get me wrong there. But you got to do better there. And yeah, I don't think they're going to pay Pollard. TJ DeYoung says, do not reset the shot clock for me. Go eat $2. Thank you, CJ. The clock is running. It is still about 2 minutes, though. I appreciate the super chat there, CJ. You're very, very kind. We are at 2:40. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Thank you guys so much for that. 2 minutes. If you have questions, get them in via super chat. If not, we'll end the show. I'll put the Hankins cut as a VOD out here in a little bit, and then I will film some stuff, and then I'll go home and see my wife and child since she's mad at me anyway. Whatever. Hit the super chat button if you have questions. If not, we'll call it. We've got a minute to go here. A minute on the clock. Amoy, he says enjoy your meal, so I don't think this is a shot clock reset. Jeremy Chugs' burner, I think, is. So let's hit Jeremy Chugs' burner, start the stopwatch, and then we'll hit Mayoids there. He's got a fantasy question. Andrews or ETN, Hurst and Higgins in fantasy. You have to play Mark Andrews. I know he laid an egg or whatever last week. You got to play Mark Andrews. You got to play ETN because he's now the only back in Jacksonville. Higgins is too upside there. Oh, Jeremy said don't reset. Okay. Stopwatch starting now, Jeremy. You're good. Higgins, I rank them, Andrews a tight end over Hurst for sure. ETN, Higgins as well. You got to play Andrews. Got to play ETN. I play Higgins over Hurst pretty easily there. AOID PLLC, enjoy your meal, my friend. We need a receiver. Look. Oh, it was a trade proposal. Oh, so you get ETN, Hurst, and Higgins in exchange for Mark Andrews. Oh, my bad. I don't love Hurst tight end, though. If you are in need of running back or receiver help, do it. Do it. And accept the loss of tight ends and have a starting receiver and starting back. And ETN could be an RB1 down the stretch this year. So if you need running back and receiver help, do it. If you are loaded and you need tight end help, then take the Andrews side. But that's pretty from that standpoint there. AOID PLLC, enjoy your meal, my friend. We need a receiver. Thank you. I agree. You need a receiver. Cowboys don't feel the same way for whatever reason. Jason Renfro, when do you think Washington will make his return? Go Cowboys. We've got a minute on the clock, by the way. I'm not going to count this one since I counted the other ones as part of it, so we'll even it out there. I don't know. I wouldn't say until at least after the bye. They will use that 3-week window, the 21-day practice window, when he makes his return to the practice field, 3 weeks from then, on the nose. But I'm not going to say, I don't know if he's going to play that much. I really don't. I would not bank on Washington fixing this receiving core there. All right, we'll give it 30 seconds here. If supers come in, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we'll go eat with several shots of whiskey in our stomachs and then some food. That's what you want to do, right? Shots, then food? Yeah. 10 seconds. I think we can call it here from that standpoint. I appreciate everyone who tuned in to our live Dallas Cowboys report. We'll end the stream. Video tomorrow. Some trade rumors. We'll do a preview later this week as well. Live again on Sunday. Potential baby Olivia cameo day. If you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe.